Well, hello again, everyone. It's Monday, so you know what we talk about on Mondays: warthogs. No, music. It's Musical Monday. And I'm joined today by my friend Gabriel Bello from the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Say hello to the fine people out there in YouTube land.
Say hello to the fine people out there in YouTube land.
Okay. This is going to be a little bit different. Anything with Gabriel is going to be different because he's a different kind of guy. He's a real musician, and he lives in a different world from most people. As a matter of fact, he just got in at 4 o'clock in the morning from a gig that he did, and so we had to tape this in the afternoon after he got a little sleep. So anyway, we're just going to talk about music and the stuff that he does. Let him demonstrate his instruments a little bit. If you want to give people just a couple of minutes of your musical background, just to review. I interviewed you a year or so ago,
Yeah.
and you talked a little bit about your career and so forth. But just kind of because my channel's grown a lot over the past year. Go ahead and just give a couple of minutes introduction, if you would.
Yeah. So if folks want to get caught up on the testimony side of, the Lord healing me of cancer, they definitely need to watch that other video.
Yeah, I'll
But as
link
far
to it.
as, yeah, as far as musical, my father plays a bunch of different instruments. My mother sings like a bird. I actually had a scholarship to a vocal scholarship for college when she was younger. I have an uncle that plays multiple instruments professionally. I have another uncle that played classical guitar at Carnegie Hall. And amongst the classical guitar people, people know who he is. It's pretty cool. I started playing in church. My first instrument was this thing right here, was the flute. And the only reason I started flute and not saxophone, like you can see in my logo, is because my father wouldn't let me play sax. I asked him to play sax at about 4 years old, and he said, play flute first. And I said, that's a sissy girl instrument. I don't want to play that. I was 4. What did I know? Can't even say that these days. But I finally broke down around 9 or 10 years old and started playing flute. Got everything down. Got all my scales and was actually started playing flute in church at 12 years old. So I actually haven't been playing a whole lot of flute. I just got this flute from the company that I endorse, Cannonball Musical Instruments out of Utah. So I'm glad to actually get my flute chops back up. After flute, 13, my father finally let me start playing sax. Thankfully, I didn't abandon this instrument. It's actually opened lots of doors of opportunity, like playing for Ron Canoli, who I was healed when I was playing for him when God healed me of cancer, and one of the reasons that I was able to get that gig because, you know, it's really helpful to play flute when you're going to play for Ron Canoli because of several of his songs have flute.
Hmm.
So I busted my teeth out at 18 years old, right a few months before I was going to go audition for Berklee School of Music, and then I learned to play piano. During those few months that my literally was injured, I knocked out my 2 front teeth. These suckers they're fake. So I taught myself to play piano right before I went to college. Went to university. Um, and really my musical upbringing was in church. I had wonderful musical directors, Bob and Kathy Hinckley, in DeLand Sanctuary Church of God. Now they're at Life Point Church in DeLand. And I mean, they were my musical education growing up. I only had a handful of saxophone lessons, like maybe about 3 or 4. My fourth grade teacher was my flute teacher for 6 months to a year, something like that. But other than that, that's my instruction was in church because we played with charts, and I did youth choir, and so I did all the singing and stuff there too. So yeah, kind of church, and then going to Lee University kind of prepped me for my career as a full-time musician.
Yeah, church music has changed considerably in the 21st century. But I know what your age is, so I know that you actually learned to play in church back in probably in the 90s. And that's when churches used a lot more live music and improvised, and instead of going by a lot of tracks and click tracks and stuff like that,
Yep.
you actually had to know how to read music and improvise. A lot of times music directors would just say, let's go to the key of B flat, and everybody would get ready, and then
If they
they would
said that, a lot of
right.
times, a lot of times they would just start singing something, and they would
And everybody'd say, "What's he doing? Where are we going?"
anointing fall on me, and then you hear that anointing, so fall on me, and then finally the rest of the band kicks in. Let the power of the Holy Ghost fall on me. Anointing fall on me. So they would just start singing a song,
Mhm.
great is thy faithfulness.
Have
That
to
you
hunt
just
for it for a
yeah,
few
yeah,
seconds.
yeah. And once the piano player and the bass player got in, everybody else was like, okay, we're in C, we're in D flat, we're in A flat. So
Yeah, but it was also I used to watch David Letterman a lot because I loved Paul Schaefer and his band. And a lot of times when he would have a guest on and the guest would start singing, all of a sudden you'd hear the band jump in there and start backing them up.
yeah,
And it was just like magic. How do they know what key? Well, they've been playing music all their lives, and most of these guys have perfect pitch. And you might hear a couple of notes, where he's looking for it before they all kick in.
yeah.
But TV today, all of these talk shows now they're so scripted. They're not improvised like they
Yeah,
were
it's
20, 30 years
made to
ago.
look. Yeah, it's made to look like it's oh yeah, we just happen to do this, even
Mhm.
though we can go on TikTok and Instagram and see them doing this, like they were on social media when they were rehearsing it, and it's like this wasn't off the cuff.
Oh, right.
So
Yeah, I miss those days of television, even the Johnny Carson show, where a lot of times things would happen that were not rehearsed. And there's this
that's what made it
famous,
fun to watch.
oh yeah, there's a famous clip of John Davidson on the Tonight Show. He was trying to do this song, and they were having technical problems with the microphone or something. He got mad and kicked the microphone stand or something, and they had to stop until they figured out what the problem was. And he embarrassed himself by losing his temper. But I mean, that was TV back then,
Yep.
and church was a lot the same way. Not that people got mad and kicked the stand, but a lot of times in
Unless they're mad at
church.
the devil.
Oh, I got up one time in church. I had a group, a couple of guys that did songs with me, and we all had guitars, right? And we'd been practicing something before the service in a different key, and I had a capo on. And then we got out there to play for the service, and I had forgotten to take my capo off. So I'm in one key and they're in another key, and we started playing, and I knew something was off. And I knew it couldn't be me. So I'm looking at the other guys going, "Guys, what are you doing?"
What's the matter with you?
And they both pointed at me and said, "Take your capo off." And I went, "What? Oh." We had to start all over. And fortunately for us, the pastor made a real funny ad lib, and everybody in the congregation laughed. And while the laughter was dying down, we got the situation rectified, and then we did our song. But that was you don't see stuff like that so much in church anymore because people just push a button and the click track starts, and so
Well,
much of it is automated.
not only that, a lot of the musicians now. You go to some places, and for instance, if you go to maybe First Assembly or a Church of God that's been around a while, that's got
Mhm.
a pretty solid music program, you can go there and just start singing a song, and they're going to jump in. If you go into a rock and roll, skinny jean, big screens, what does Mario Murillo says? Big screen, skinny jeans, and fog machine
Mhm.
church, and you start singing a song, they're going to look at you cross-eyed. I mean, if you start singing "Great Is Thy Faithfulness" in a rock and roll skinny jean church,
Mhm.
they're going to think that you just invented that song. Like, that was so, wow, did you write that? Like,
Yeah,
but don't let me start soapboxing on that, because I'll get carried away.
yeah, but this is how you learn. You learn by actually being put in that high pressure situation
Yeah,
and making a few mistakes, and it's okay to make a few mistakes. You know, I can imagine in the early church people made mistakes, not just with music or whatever, but I mean, look at Peter. Peter messed up, and Paul had to call him on it and everything. So you know, I don't have any problem with people going out and doing stuff live and risking messing up. I would rather actually have that than to have everything so automated that there's no really freedom for the spirit to move and for people to, you know, let's say, hey, let's sing that song again, or let's sing another
yeah,
song, and you know, let's just go where the Holy Spirit leads us. You don't see that so much anymore. Like you said, in some of your older denominational churches, you might see stuff like that, but the skinny jeans churches, you don't. What do you got there?
so this is the sax, um, that I started playing it. Well, this one, this is newer. I got this from the company that I endorse. Um, but yeah, it's actually kind of funny, to your point. Talking about like coming up and playing church, playing music in church in the '90s. Just the fact, I date myself by just saying I started playing in church on flute. How many musicians? And this is a passion and soapbox of mine. It's like, if you don't play guitar or drums, it's like the church doesn't even, they don't have a place for you. It's
Hmm.
like, well, you can't, we can't use you. I mean, it's actually laughable. It's kind of a running joke with pianists and keyboardists, because they don't really do anything.
Hmm.
They're really window dressing. I mean, they just stand up there and they'll just hold a pad, and it just holds a chord. And I was actually at a rehearsal at a mega church, and they were struggling with this four chord song. I reversed the polarity on my pedal, spelled out a two chord, and walked away, because that chord fit over everything that they were playing. I literally walked off stage, and they didn't notice it for about a good 4 minutes.
Wow.
And I was just like, why am I here? Why do you have me here? This is ridiculous. But obviously not something. I'm hoping, and I've actually been doing some horn work for, and if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it. I've done a couple things over the last 2 years with Elevation, and I'm hoping that they'll start incorporating stuff like this on a regular basis, because you have all these horn players that love Jesus. And I shouldn't have to learn guitar. I shouldn't have to become a mediocre guitarist to worship God in church with my congregation, when I'm a
Hmm.
professional, saxophonist. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, I just, to me, heaven's gonna have the wildest orchestra. The heaven, I believe, I look at like the Levitical model, and I'm like, that's more like closer to what Yanni has. Like, Yanni has a full orchestra and all of these other world instruments, and he just paints with so many colors. And I'm like, that might be the closest thing we've seen to what heavenly music is going to sound like, because it's so eclectic. And look at the universe. That's how God made it. He didn't make everything to just say, hey, we just need four chords and distortion and dotted eighth delay. That's all I want. I
Yeah.
mean, we have everything from whales to ants, stars to stalactites.
Right.
So yeah, I've been playing this professionally for well over 20 years. It's crazy. I'm actually going to be playing saxophone in a couple years. It'll be 30 years I've been playing saxophone. I've got the Billboard cred, and recorded with tons of different artists, performed all over the country. And
Oh,
go
just
ahead.
for a non-wind instrument guy like me, because I'm more of a string guy. About the only thing that we have in common is we both play keys. Uh, so we can talk about that a little bit, and I'll know what you're talking about. But I really don't know anything about the saxophone. Can you explain to me how it works? Is there? I mean, it's not a reed instrument, or
Yeah,
is
it
it?
is. Yeah,
It
yeah,
is? Okay.
yeah. So this was kind of invented to be the hybrid between the woodwind section and the brass section. And it's kind of funny. The reason it didn't completely overtake brass, there was actually like a concerted effort, almost like a propaganda campaign against it, kind of like rock music in the church, where it was like, it's the devil's music. There was literally a propaganda campaign from instrument makers against the saxophone, because it's a brass, it's a metal instrument, but
Hmm.
the sound comes from a reed. So it's a hybrid of those two worlds. You've got all sorts of different buttons that do all sorts of different notes, that do a bunch of different combinations. Um, you can play, let's see, one, two, oh, what would be one octave, two octaves, three, maybe three and a half octaves if you can get, really ridiculously high with the altissimo. Uh, so you've got, I've got a leak in my lowest note. So that's my low B flat, which is concert D flat. Yeah, concert D flat. Um, that's another thing too. So the tuning for the most common saxophones are alto and tenor. The the alto saxophone C is concert E flat. So they call this an E flat instrument. Same thing, a tenor saxophone and a soprano saxophone. They're B flat instruments like a trumpet. So the tunings are soprano and alto are the same. Alto and baritone are the same. And I don't know about bass sax. I don't know if bass sax is an E flat instrument or a concert C. There is a concert C saxophone. I think it's called a C melody. So yeah, lots of different. And I've got a soprano. I've got a tenor. I didn't bust everything out, but
Now
you've got.
the tenor is what Kenny G plays, right?
Well, no, that's the soprano. So the soprano, well, he does play
Okay.
tenor. That's the tenor saxophone. That's what Bill Clinton played, was a tenor sax.
Okay.
Um, the baritone is what Lisa Simpson plays. It's, huge, and it's got that nice deep up 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 up, that's that TOP, Tower Power Dop Kupka. And then alto is, David Sanborn, David Koz. Um,
Okay. Well, I guess like Songbird, that was probably his biggest hits.
soprano
Songbird was
sax.
soprano. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, it's got a completely different tone to it. It doesn't sound like this jazzy instrument that we're all
Well,
familiar with.
yeah,
It's a
hold
little
up.
bit more melodic. Oh, you do
Uh,
have one?
yeah, I've got it right here. I just didn't. It doesn't take much to set up, so I left it half set up from last night because we were breaking down so quick. So mine has an arced bell, so the bell sticks out, so I don't have to do the Kenny G, So,
Mhm. Wow.
and and Warner Chappell just took copyright, just put a copyright claim on this video.
Hopefully not, because it's not
Hopefully
gonna.
not,
The
but
algorithm probably won't snag it because
yeah,
it's
they
improvised.
love hopefully it's not in the, I don't know what's on what key that song was recorded in, but yeah.
Yeah,
So higher pitched, it's a
I
great
love that
instrument.
higher pitched sound.
Yeah.
It's so much more melodic, and that's what made Kenny G famous, was because he wasn't trying to sound like your typical sax player.
He wasn't playing jazz, he was playing adult contemporary instrumental music, and he's made a ton of money, and saxophonists hate him for it.
Hmm.
I don't. um
You know
it's
something a
just
lot of people don't know about Kenny G?
Starbucks.
I was going to say he's a great golfer.
Roll. There you go. That too.
Yeah, he's a scratch golfer, and
Yeah, he was like one of the original investors or people like there's the whole Starbucks thing.
yeah, I did
He's
not know that, but I used to play golf, and so I follow golf a lot, and I've seen him show up at a lot of celebrity pro-am tournaments.
nice.
Yeah. So okay, you play sax and you play flute and you've played keyboard a little bit. What else do you play?
So, obviously I sing. I'm not going to sing a whole lot because I'm tired.
Okay.
Um, but folks can see I've got my own records out there that I sing on, and I have a Stevie Wonder tribute along with leading worship in church. I've got a Stevie Wonder tribute where I sing the Stevie stuff. I'm out front playing keyboards,
Mm.
and I also have a Toto tribute, and I'm doing all the Bobby Kimball, yeah, Bobby Kimball and Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, all that stuff. And it's fun. That the Toto shows are great because I get to play a little bit of flute, a little bit of sax, and I get to sing, play a little bit of keyboards, do some of that synth stuff because it's so. But then I've got the chromatic harmonica. I actually learned to play this just for the Stevie Wonder show because I said you can't do Stevie Wonder. He was doing this before he was singing.
Hmm.
Ba ba da ba da da ba da da ba.
Yeah,
So, and
that's cool. I like that.
it's a really really cool instrument. I tell people like how hard is it to learn? I said try going up and down stairs blindfolded backwards. Like that's what playing. And it's so funny. When I was first playing it in shows, just practicing, especially like the solo to For Once in My Life. Let's see. I think yeah, it's a you know. But that was just brutal, and I still did
I
not
can
play that
imagine.
fantastically. But then I went and saw Stevie live, and he's doing "Isn't She Lovely," and his second solo, like the second solo entrance, he completely botched it. And I mean, when I say botched it, like he fell down the stairs backwards, and it took him like 2 bars to get back to where because the thing is you can't see. I mean, not that it matters to him, he can't see anything anyway, but you really can't see what you're doing. It's Rod's like, oh, that was bad. I mean, but it's the truth. He writes his songs in certain keys because in E flat, anywhere you move your hands, where you're at because you feel three keys under when I do that show. For the first few years, I was doing it with the glasses and eyes closed. So I had to learn how to play. It really strengthened my keyboard skills because I had to learn how to play all that stuff with my eyes closed. You know,
Hmm.
you know. I've got this cable here that's botching me up. So, but with the harmonica, it's like imagine playing piano with your mouth and your eyes closed,
Hmm.
and it's set in one octave and then it restarts. So you literally have two C's together. But if you draw, which is you suck air in, this is one note and this
Hmm.
is one note. So you can hit a C and be like, which C am I on?
Either way, yeah.
Yeah, and especially if you're in the middle of a lick, dude, your whole lick is now off like a half step.
Hmm. All
So
right. Yeah, I actually played harmonica when I was young, and I stopped when I grew facial hair because, as you probably have experienced, you get a whisker caught, and that harmonica,
It'll
and it
hurt.
hurts. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And your nose will start running.
I always keep this. I always keep this trimmed.
Trimmed, yeah, you have
Um,
to.
but yeah, there's just so many different things, and then the last thing I've got, and I don't have this set up where I can really, really get down on it. So this is something that's brand new. This is, we were talking about the talk box, and I was telling you about throwing this together just because it's so neat. And you're like, you mean like Peter Frampton talk box? I'm like, yeah, except Peter Frampton, they have to have that tube sticking off of their microphone,
Mhm.
and they stick it in their mouth and they just wah wah wah, and then the funk guys got a hold of it, Zap Band, Roger. Oh, that's gonna bother me. It's anyway, Roger something something from Zap. That's gonna bother me, but everybody, you can put in the comments. He made it funky with Computer Love and More Bounce to the Ounce. And this guy that I found on social media several years ago invented one. He's like, I want to be able to walk around, because when you have a traditional talk box, you're stationary. It's like having a piano, but then pianists, they invented the keytar, so they could be like guitarists to move around. So
Yeah.
he's like, he was doing something. He's been featured with artists like Kanye West, and I mean, just he's done all sorts of crazy, amazing stuff. And he wanted, when he was doing shows, he's like, I want to be able to move around. So he literally invented this, and it's taking off. He's in Oakland, California, and this is called the ESX1 tubeless talk box. And whoa, yeah, Rod Sanders, Jew and Creek. It's funky for Jesus, yes. So, if I had it connected to my keyboard, I could really get down with it. So there's just so many different things you can do with music,
Oh
especially
yeah.
especially music unto the Lord. That's my thing. It's like, where's the creativity? I actually made a video, kind of reacting to a new song from Maverick City, because like they're the new they're the new thing. And I mean, they've got some talent, but and it was funny actually. I think the lady that was singing on it, and she might have written the song, like she commented on it, like it's hard to read into, I don't want to read into how the emotion of how she said what she said, because I was like, she could have been being serious or she could have been joking. But I was like, man, like it was a non-traditional chord progression, but it was only four chords, and they played the same progression the entire song.
Yeah.
Like, no, and they had a whole choir of people and just didn't do anything with it. I mean, they just like, oh man, this is, it's kind of like Star Wars. If Star Wars, like you have, he ignites the lightsaber in Obi-Wan's room, and then they just sit in that room the rest of the movie.
Is most of your work in the churches or outside of the churches?
So right now it's about 2/3 to a third. When I was healed of cancer, I went into full-time ministry. I didn't do anything else. Um, then after about 10 years, I was kind of bivocational, part-time in ministry, uh, part-time touring and playing. And then I was touring all the time and just volunteering at churches. And now I'm kind of like back to almost half and half. I mean, it's a rarity if I'm if I'm attending a service that I'm not serving in with my capacities, either as a musician or an engineer, which I didn't even talk about, producing and doing all that other stuff, because that's the other side of what I do. It's just, the recording and, making songs and doing all that other stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I tour, I play private events and do gigs here and there. Like, the show I did last night was at a venue in Atlanta, nice room, playing with a Billy Joel tribute band. My camera's overheating, so hopefully it doesn't cut this off. But yeah, so that's kind of a little
Okay.
bit of both.
All right. Yeah, when you were on before, we told everybody about the kind of stuff that you do, but I want to go ahead and give your domain name, where people can find your music and your YouTube channel and everything. I guess is just go ahead and spell your name out so everybody will know.
Yeah, just like the angel. So if you got a Bible, Gabriel, and the last name is Jello with a B as in boy, Bello. So Gabriel Bello Music. That's the YouTube channel. That's the Instagram. Facebook is Gabriel Bello Worldwide. TikTok, I joined TikTok. It's Gabriel Bello Music. Same there. They can go to my website, GabrielBelloMusic.com. Please, if they've got Spotify, Apple Music, if they stream music, my music is there. And if they, want to buy something, they can just go to my website and go to my store, and they can buy stuff like this T-shirt and all my music, or even do lessons. I'm teaching again. So I just had my first lesson with a saxophone student this week, and I can teach flute, keyboards, vocal, music production, music engineering. Or audio engineering.
Yeah, audio engineering is something that a lot of people forget about. Marcus is really big on that. If you're going to be in the music business, you really need to learn the business.
Yes.
You need to learn all aspects of it, from sound setup to marketing, to the music part of it, and the business part of it. You need to know
Absolutely.
how to work with accountants and stuff.
Absolutely.
It's a business, and a lot of
Yeah.
people forget it's a business. They think that it's an art, and it is an art form. But if you wanna eat, you better learn the business aspect of it.
Absolutely. I mean, I have an agent. I've worked with lawyers. I'm possibly going to be doing a deal to release some singles with one of the biggest music companies in the world. But like you said, yeah, you better know what you're doing. So
Mm.
be diligent and wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove.
Right. Well, I appreciate you joining me today to demonstrate some of what you do. I would like to sit and just absorb some of the things that because I've never understood the whole thing about concert E or whatever.
Yeah.
Being a string musician that doesn't play a whole lot of classical, especially in an orchestra setting, I don't understand all of that stuff. I've never understood the similarities between the saxophone and the clarinet, for example.
Yeah.
I would like to just sit and try to learn another part of music that I've never been around much. One of these days, I'm going to make it out there to North Carolina and visit with all you guys.
Hopefully when my studio's done. Yeah,
When
and
when will that be?
as soon as the Lord sends the rest of the money to get it done, so I'll send you a picture. You can throw it in there.
Oh, okay,
Throw
yeah.
the
So
picture in there. So and I'm accepting donations. It's a full 501(c)(3). It's a ministry. And people can go to my channel to see and hear all about that. It's going to be to train people how to do music recording, do live stream ministry. It's going to be phenomenal. 1,500 square feet of recording space.
okay, all right. So yeah, we'll put a link to the fundraising there in the description as well. Okay, well, thanks everybody for watching. We'll have Gabriel back from time to time, let you know the update on the studio and what he's doing with his music and so forth. One of these days, we're talking about collaborating uh, over the internet.
Yes.
Me, Marcus, Gabriel, maybe two or three others. We're gonna put something together to where it'll be kind of like the Brady Bunch, where we've got different frames and different instruments and so forth. You've seen people do stuff like that before, and hopefully we'll get that collaboration in the works this year sometime, and we'll keep you updated on that. So thanks again for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.